বর্তমান ডক্টর হরিশচন্দ্র সাহু নিমন্ত্রণ জনাইলি সে ভীম ভୋଇ ରିସର୍ଚ୍ଚ ଚେୟାରରେ ଅଛନ୍ତି କେ ରିସର୍ଚ୍ଚ ୟୁନିଭର୍ସିଟିରେ। ସେ ପଣ୍ଡିତ ନୀଳକଣ୍ଠ ଦାସଙ୍କର ଶିକ୍ଷା ବିଷୟକ ଯାହାକି ତାଙ୍କର ଭାବନା ଅଛି ସେ ବିଷୟରେ ଆଲୋକପାତ କରିବେ।
Esteemed President of the meeting, honored guests of the dais and in the dais, my dear students. You just listened to Dr. Pandit who talked about the Panchasakhas in Bakudavanam and the Riti Yuga Panchasakha, and it is for the information of my students. There is also another 5 friends who belong to Sabuja. You must remember, they are Anudha Rai, Vaikuntha Nath, Sarat Mukherjee, Justice Ariyar Mahapatra, and Karanti Charan Pandit. We Odia people forget them. That's why I just remind you regarding the 3 varieties of Panchasakha available. So, coming to my topic, this was Nilakantha Das on the role of education. It's a very small paper, I will go through it very shortly. Pandit Nilakantha Das was born on 5th August 1888. He was the 8th child of Pramada Das, Ananda Das and Hira Devi, belonging to Ramachandra Sasan, Satyavadi of Puri district. The parents worshipped Lord Shiva, the deity named Pandit Nilakantha, 10 miles away from the village. They worshipped Lord Shiva for a son after the birth of 7 consecutive daughters. Lord Shiva granted an extraordinary and a brilliant son to them. He is no other than Nilakantha. The financial condition of the family was not good, but Nilakantha insisted to read in a school. One day, he fled away from the home and asked the parents to send money and where necessities for continuing his studies in Puri. During his school days, he got Mayo Scholarship, completed BA from Revensa College in Philosophy and Chemistry, combination, and MA in Philosophy in 1911 from Calcutta University. It is worth mentioning that along with 2 of his intimate friends, he took a vow in the river Bhargavi not to seek any government job, not to lead a luxurious life in future, to serve the people of Orissa in need till the last breath, and above all, to uplift the condition of Orissa to a greater height. This was the vow taken by 3 friends in Bhargavi. Nilakantha, a multifaceted personality, is one of the makers of modern Orissa. We have already heard he was an educationist, he was an academician, he was a freedom fighter, having a good political career, and he is a philosopher, having humanism and spiritualism as the central focus. The so-called he is the messenger of Renaissance of modern Orissa. During that time, Orissa was divided into several parts. From Puri to Bhubaneswar, it was ruled under Bengal presidency. From Ganjam to Koraput under Madras presidency, and 36 Gurjal kings ruled Orissa. This was the pitiable condition when Nilakantha was there. The so-called Odia identity was at crossroads. For the Bengalis, Odia ekta bhasha noy. Odia is not a language. Natural calamities like flood and famine has broken the socio-economic backbone of the people of Orissa. On one hand, the clarion call of Mahatma Gandhi and Subhash Bose for the Indian independence and the call of Madhusudan Das or Madhu Barrister to make Orissa a separate state on the basis of Odia language by training Utkal Sammirani are 2 important events to note. Nilakantha is one of the Panchasakhas of Satyavadi age. The other members are Pandit Gopindu Das, Acharya Hariyar Das, Pandit Bhubaneswar Misra and Bhupasindhu Misra, who formed a group and dedicated for the cause of Orissa. They were all karma veers and karma sannyasas and champion of Odia language and literature. In this connection, Nilakantha's vision of education is significant to note. He asked some pertinent questions. What should be the aim of education? What should be the role of a guru, teacher and taught relationship? Who is a real guru? All these queries explain the role of education in the society. Nilakantha was hopeful and optimistic to see a change state by the proper education imparted to students. students. In Satyavati Vidyalaya, the Gurukula system of education was followed, where the students sit closer to the teacher, like Upanishad days, Upanishad. The teachers used to take care of the students and impart education. We see two types of teachers in Upanishadic days, Acharyas and Upadhyayas. Throughout Upanishad, Acharyas are given higher status. In comparison to the Upadhyaya, who utilize the service of the disciples. Thus, in the Upanishad it is written, Acharya Deva Bhava, Guru Deva Bhava. The Upanishadic Gurus are not only the mentors, they were friends, philosophers and guides. Not only for giving training for a good life in society, but also how to gain spiritual knowledge, Savidyaya Vinuttai. Gurus were the path founders. While clarifying the level of education, Pandit Nilakantha advocates that good dress, that is uniform, big buildings as infrastructure are not the signs of education. Even to carry out the educational activities, Thatcher House or verandas are sufficient where one could sit and teach. Passing out examination is not the goal of education. He was against fixed curriculum. In Gita, there is a saying, Sadhavan Labhati Jnana. It is because of one's love for love, which is a precondition for Jnana. The aim of education is to improve one's Atma. For us, it has an indicator to know one's own self. Atmadipam bhava, know thyself. It is Atma Vikas, not only Atma Dipa, it is Atma Vikas. The aim of education is to make one stand on his own foot. Vocational education like crafts, smithy, carpentry, etc. were taught. One has to cultivate noble qualities like dana, daya, kshama, and samashrata, etc. in one's own life. The aim of education is to build the character of students. A student should learn how to be a man of character. Because Nilakantha was a man of philosophy, he made a distinction between character and conduct. He must speak the truth. He must be a votary of truth as remarked by Gandhi. In the language of Tagore, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, he must be a man, a fearless man. He must be compassionate towards others. That is, he must have a sense of serving others at a time of crisis. His conduct must be exemplary. He must be a man of model, others to follow him. He must be loyal to the society, caste, creed, and religion to which he belongs to. He must be aware of his duties and responsibilities for the human society. Such men are called ideal men. And it was the purpose of Vidyalaya to prepare ideal men. Satyavati Vidyalaya at Satyokal is a fully residential college. In pre-independent era, the contribution of some educational institutions were praiseworthy. There were no good number of universities and educational institutions. Satyavati Vidyalaya, under the stewardship of Gopal Das, flourished like anything else. We find Santiniketanam established by Tagore, Vaidyalayam of Varna established by Gandhi, and Aurobill, Pondicherry established by Tagore. These institutions have excelled in the field of education. Pandit Nilakantha was the headmaster of Satyavati School. He spent 7 years there, and after that, by the call of Sara Subhas Mukherjee, Vice Chancellor Calcutta University, he left for Calcutta to join as a professor of philology and comparative language. During his stay in Satyavati, he toiled hard, spending blood and sweat to build the educational institution. Gandhi, during his visit, expressed satisfaction on Vidyalaya. Gandhi praised the dedication of young teachers in Vidyalaya. It was a man-making institution, as already pointed out by Professor Pandit. But the local people could not tolerate it and set fire. There were 5,000 valuable books were born in classes. All were unhappy. But Gopabandhu remarked that perhaps it was God's desire so that a new building would stand in place of the Thatcher House. We are now talking of new education policy, NEP 2020 in India. Education is always experiment, progressing by trial and error method. We see how many times it has been changed, 10 plus 2 plus 3. There are so on semester system. So it is on experiments on the students. And whatever Pandit Nilakantha said about education is clearly reflected in NEP 2020. Vocational education is given prime emphasis. There should be no barrier for students to select the subject of interest, as he was taking chemistry and philosophy. The education, he says, how could I be a philosopher before I am a man? Thus, education should be humanocentric. Nilakantha was an educationist par excellence who conceived of making a university in Odisha. By that time, students were either taking a degree from Andhra University or Patna University. But we did not have any university in Odisha. Nilakantha took keen interest in establishing an university in Odisha, and he was the first pro-chancellor of that university, the place where I am standing. Fortunate enough, he was honored and awarded Delhi degree from Utkal University, which was his brainchild. I sincerely pay my homage to Pandit Nilakantha, the Guru of Utkal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Harish. Very rightly, he characterized the Panchasukhajas as Karmaviras and Karma Sannyasis. Then he just outlined the form of education that these people sought to work out. And he also pointed out that the scheme which they wanted to point out in the last century is now reflected in the NDP 2020 in terms of vocational education and all that. The aim of education is Atma Vikasa, not only becoming self-conscious, that is Atma Vibo. It is Atma Vikasa, which results in making up good persons in the society. If persons are good, society becomes good, and the whole world becomes good thereby. So it must start from the very core, and the core of the society is human being, and education itself. So it is very clear and distinct, and I like all these 3 points. That they are formulas and sannyasis. Then the aim of education is Atma Vikas, and the most important thing is that the things that we learn in the classrooms must be translated into practice. That's it. Thank you very much once again.